I am Anthony from HashesNet, and you are watching 10 Questions. Today I am here with Razyel Kayne. I will ask 10 questions about his experience as a YouTuber, as well as what led him onto that path. Hi, Razyel.
Hi, how you doing?
No answer. We're skipping ahead.
Yeah.
It's a long day at work, man. Long day at work. So I have 10 questions to ask you that I more or less ask everyone, but I'll specifically adjust a few for you. If at any time your responses leave an opening, I may ask any follow-up questions. Are you ready to begin?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so the first question is, what entertained you while growing up?
Cartoons, mostly. Masters of the Universe was the big thing for me when I was a kid. That's what I actually had for Christmas and my birthdays and any occasions. Like G.I. Joe and Transformers, Thundercats, and then moved to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Was a big one for me. And eventually in the 90s was mostly Reboot and Beast Wars. And then after Beast Machine, I kind of grew up.
I don't know if I did. Anyway, what made you decide to start a YouTube channel?
Progressively, it was just me listening to videos first, Rodimus Primal mainly. And then eventually I watched a chat with him, Kato, and Patriot Prime, and you were moderating. And then I started following toy reviewers, and then I wanted to join in, and I was hoping to, participate in live streams and stuff like that. Maybe not the ideal reason to start a YouTube channel, but eventually, when War for Cybertron came out, the main complaint was voice acting. So I decided to, instead of being the negative guy that's going to bash the show, try to be the positive one who's going to remind us of why that Transformers was so good.
Although Alita, one of Black Arachnia's voice actors, says were just great.
My main beef was probably just Optimus Prime. Honestly, I'm not going to call him a voice actor out of respect for the art, but Jake Fushi, who is he does a good impression of Peter Cullen on what used to be Vine. He had some videos and he did a lot of impressions, and he was actually really good at it. But he's not an actor, so this is why we have people compare him a lot to Christian Bale Batman. I think he's more like Pete Holmes Batman. If ever you have a chance to go look at his videos,
I remember that skit. Yeah,
that's that series of sketch of with Pete Holmes or by Pete Holmes. That's what I hear when Optimus starts screaming. So yes, no disrespect to Jake Fushi, who's a great impressionist, not a good actor.
So you mentioned a video that I did with those three, Kato, Patriot, and Rodimus, about last year this time, I think, maybe a little bit earlier.
Oh no, 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago.
Already? Wow, this
And
pandemic has really just sucked up my, I feel like Groundhog's Day sometimes. You go to work, you do the same thing, you go to sleep, you wake up, you go back to
yeah,
work, do the same thing. But
well, you don't go to
so
work. You
when
work
would
from
you
home.
say then? Initially, when did you start your channel? Like that was when you put your first video out.
When my first video was put on, well, my intro on February 6, 2021, so earlier this year. My first spotlight was the next day on the 7th. And really, I had been toying with the idea for a while in 2020 to start a channel, and I wanted to do the voice acting thing. And it was really Kato from Kato's Collection, who I just mentioned to him in comments or in chat. I was thinking about doing it, and we had a good, I don't want to say relationship, but I viewed all of his stuff. I went back and watched all of his previous video, commented on each of them. So we interacted through comments on a, hourly basis for a while. And eventually he said, well, if you ever do a channel, let me know. So I figured, okay, well, if he's interested, maybe there's other people. So then I just jumped in and got the camera, the better phone, the stand, the microphone, purchased licenses with the video pads to be able to do the recording, the editing, and so far so good.
So you started initially with a profile. What was that first profile?
What do you mean my first profile?
The first voice
Oh,
actor that you covered.
Dan Galvazan was my first spotlight. He
Bumblebee.
was, Yeah, Bumblebee is at first that's what I wanted to do. Just take a character, just one character, and then do the voice actor. And then not knowing what I was getting into, you realize, oh, he did voices for 15 guys. So instead now of focusing by character, I really go by actor. And actually, for my 1 year anniversary, I want to revisit Dan Gilvezan to give him a more. I've
out.
adapted my style now. Yeah, fleshed out, but also more to what my current videos are looking like. And yeah, so that's that. He was my first spotlight.
So you do occasionally do toy reviews.
Yep.
What was your first toy review then?
Netflix Origin Bumblebee was.
Wow, what a coincidence!
No, actually, no, not Origin, just Netflix Bumblebee. Sorry, because I did a review for him too.
Was that planned? Was like you got one? It was like, hey, let's do the voice actor, or how did it come about where you end up doing a review and the profile of the same character?
It came about 5 months later when
really? Okay.
I couldn't find him because back in the time that Netflix Bumblebee was out, it was December, November of 2020. And because of the pandemic and every backlog in shipping and everything, Netflix figures really didn't hit Canada that hard. I've seen actually maybe a couple Wheeljack, Impactor once. I think that's it. After that, later in the year, I saw a deep cover, which I got for my 3-year-old. Well, then 3-year-old.
So and Netflix then I deep cover?
Yeah, the blue one.
Okay.
So I got that because my son loved my Sideswipe and Red Alert figures, and he's actually able to transform them himself. So I got him Tiger Track and Deep Cover because I have no attachment to those figures. So if he breaks them, I'm not too sad. Okay. But I actually a fellow chat buddy from different channel, Lone Dragon, when I was doing my sit rep with Patriot Prime, I mentioned that was my holy grail, Netflix Bumblebee, and he had an extra one, so we made a couple arrangements, and he sent it to me, and I was really happy. So I said, yeah, you know what, this could be my first review.
Okay, so then you mentioned you're in Canada, which explains the accent. But also, do you live in Eastern Canada or do you live in Central or Western?
I'm in Quebec. I'm in the Gatineau area, which is basically a suburb of Ottawa. Ottawa's in Ontario, and then you cross a river. There's a city there. That's where I'm currently situated.
So you're north of me, because I'm in Ohio. I'm surprised you're having, because usually, like, that's such a big metropolitan area. You would expect to get more things than, like, Gotbot's in Newfoundland, so he gets almost nothing. And then T Fan Page 101 is off in the west, and he barely gets anything. But, like, Danny Dolphin's in the center and seems to be able to get access to everything.
Yeah, I'm more east than center, so I'm not getting it. During the pandemic, things were like shelves were bare. Any store, Walmart, Toys R Us were completely empty. Like on Christmas Eve, I did 7 Walmarts and 2 Toys R Us, and I found Black Arachnia. That was it. Like it really was hard. And the same thing for Amazon.ca pre-orders or even .coms. Durgan Ramjet, and then the Ironhide and Prowl, where everybody got canceled. I was lucky. I put that I wanted the Paradron Medics in my Christmas list, and somehow my sister ordered it, and she got it. Like she received it and gave it to me for Christmas, and I was like, I had written off that whole set.
I did see you did review it too.
I did. I reviewed it after I toy-axed it. Yeah.
So, and I know you've only been at this for about a year, so this question may not matter too much to you, but what trends have you seen change with online content creation since you started your channel? Now, you came in right after COPPA, so you've lived you've always been in the post-COPPA world, but based on all the watching you did prior to COPPA and then you starting your channel, do you feel like there's any difference between then and now?
The only difference is the age warning. That's common now when you do toy reviews. I don't put it in my voice actor spotlight because I'm not trying to sell anything, and it really cannot be interpreted as I'm trying to sell something to a kid. My toy reviews, I do it. My Toyax reviews, I do it just for the form, because I don't think that there would be any impact to me if I don't think YouTube would come down for a channel of my stature. But what the trends I've seen mostly are super chats are a lot more common than they used to be. That the $1, $2 thing, and that was very rare. But now everybody's super chatting and then because of the super chat rewards. And anyway, in the group I follow, it's rather common now. So I think that's one thing. I kind of feel that for tour reviews itself, there might be a market saturation because there's channels that go really, really well. Patriot Prime is going, skyrocketing, and he's keeps going up. Deluxe and Kato and Bert, even Inutabi is getting, he's over 1,000, and it's things are going well. Most people that I follow, Memo, but there's also channels that I kind of discovered by happenstance. And, there was a guy who's been at it for 11 years and he's not even at 500. So I'm like, okay, so, there's a chance that a channel will not pick up.
Yeah, I've been at it for 15 years.
15?
Yeah, 2007. So... you mentioned Kato. Do you know during that video you mentioned earlier, Kato got his 1,000th subscriber during that video?
He did that 4,000? No, he already had 4,000.
1,000. He got his 1,000th during that video with Patriot, Rodimus, and myself.
Oh, potentially, because because it's honestly going on somebody's channel is great exposure. I've been on, I had 25 subscriber when I went on Kato, and then ended up with maybe 40. Then I went on Deluxe, and it climbed up to 50 something. And then after Patriot Prime, it rocketed to 80. So, and it's right now I'm sitting at 140, and my goal was 100 in a year. I said, if I don't hit 100 in a year, then people clearly would not be interested in voice actors. They'll complain about bad voice acting, but that's somewhat of a trend, not a trend, but something that I've been thinking, like a lot of people like to complain, and they do so anonymously, but they don't actively pursue positiveness. I had a kind of a change of heart, and when I was doing the sit rep with Patriot Prime, he kind of called me out, he called me out because I was being very negative on a segment of the show. And then you mentioned that I was bringing negativity to his channel, but he did it respectfully, not attacking me or anything. And I rewatched the sit rep, and I noticed it. I'm like, oh God, yes, I am being very negative. So from that day, only the positive stuff. And to a point that one thing I mentioned I would probably never cover would be Casey Kasem, because I did not like his reaction to what was happening with the writing and everything. Because I'm a massive Flynn Dilly fan who wrote, or edited a lot of the episode and wrote the movie and and the feud he had with him. He tried to get Flynn fired, or maybe it's all rumors at this point. Or
oh no, it's true, because he did the same thing with Hanna-Barbera and Scooby-Doo.
Oh well, there you go.
Yeah. And
but I've been trying to I was kind of bashing him in those interviews, saying I would never review him. But then at this point, I've set out to be more positive after the sit rep, and eventually I will cover Casey Kasem in a very positive way. I will not praise him as a hero, but I won't mention that feud. I won't mention, the impact. I will say that he left the show, but people at this point know why. They don't need to be reminded.
I would approach it journalistically.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to. That's one thing when I started, my girlfriend's like, why don't you just record your video as you're talking just normally? and I wanted to have a more formal approach. So my spotlight are very like I edit everything out that I don't like, and I'm very careful. And but when I do toy reviews, if I mess up, slightly, I'm not as picky. But for my spotlight, because it's repeat business, it's not a toy review that you've seen once or 15 times on other channels, and then after that, you just don't go rewatch that, unless you're stuck on a transformation or something. But my stuff, comparing it to not comparing, but kind of like Rodimus Primal, you can watch it in 10 years and it still will be relevant. So that I'm kind of glad I found that little niche.
Okay. So what changes do you have planned for your YouTube channel in the near future?
I'm planning a new intro. That's pretty much it. I don't have much change. Like I said in my last Toy Hacks video that I was probably going to take a break for a while, but then they had that 20% sale, so I have 4 sets on the way. And I
try to
ordered
get out,
these.
they pull you back in.
Yeah, exactly. And then I ordered these fine tweezers, that I've seen Patriot Prime use. And I'm not trying to compete with him because he's our patron saint of toy axing, and I really admire his work. But I'm actually enjoying a lot of the toy axing I'm doing. I only have 5, maybe 6 figures that I've done, and I'm going to keep going for a couple more. For now, at least those 4s, and eventually when I get Sludge, I'll do him. And but it's easy to get addicted to that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because if you come into doing reviews or anything like this in this oversaturated community, you're just going to give yourself unneeded stress. You're supposed hopefully you were doing it primarily for your own entertainment. If something else comes out of it, hey, but otherwise you're just causing yourself undue stress. And that's really the wrong way to go with this stuff.
Yeah, toy reviews, and because I didn't review all the figures I have. Like now, as they come in, I kind of review them because I'm enjoying it. And that's the spotlight, the voice actor spotlight. I would like that to become a thing where people come to my channel. I'd like to eventually have an actual voice actor, on my channel that I can interview. I'd like to, like I posted not long ago, I posted my Dan Galvezan video on his page in the community section. I don't think he's seen it, but I'd like to trigger that where Dan could talk to another voice actor and say, hey, check, he did a video about you too. And so, but that's just, wishful dreaming, that, this could pick up. I could pursue it, but I'm not a professional. I'm not, I don't know how to interview people, but it'd still be fun. I mean, most of the, some of the greatest stuff Rodimus Primal has produced was the interview with Flindilly, and then Lindsay Russo and Stan Bush, and lately Bob Budiansky. And those are amazing. Like, I mean, this is, you're getting it from the source. So it's always fun. That's why I bought this book here. I don't know if you've had the chance to get The Game Master by Flindilly. And this is the single greatest piece of reading I've done. And I read the whole Wheel of Time saga. So
yeah, that's a lot of heavy reading. I'm more of a magazine guy.
Yeah. No, this reads very, very simple because it's basically a guy talking to you for, a couple hours. That the way it reads, it's not a heavy documentary. It's really just him telling stories, and it's extremely interesting, especially that he did work for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm still playing D&D today. So that was my childhood that I did not know he created, and I'm glad I found out.
Okay, so what changes would you like to make if you had unlimited resources?
Unlimited resources, I'd like to actually have a recording booth. When I do my spotlight, I have to unplug the fridge because of the fan. I have to make sure that I'm alone in the house so that my microphone doesn't pick up anything. And then I'd like to have like an actual professional station where I can go in a booth. There's no sound. I record my stuff. I edit it, professionally, because right now I'm doing it with VideoPad, which is a beginner's tool, which does amazing things. Really, like for what I need, just plug in pictures. But I don't have the time to, make every picture move a little bit so that it looks nice, or it's kind of harder. But just the research for one video, actually unlimited resources, I'd probably hire someone to download picture to go with specific words. Yeah, that's what I have to do. I open Word, then I say, okay, this phrase, this picture, and then I highlight a word in that phrase saying that's where I need to put that picture. And I name that picture that word. That's how I don't lose track of, every picture I download. And it's tons. Some are copyrighted, that I get on mainly on Unsplash is a good site for picture, but they don't have, actor posing as doctors, stuff like that. It's more kids jumping and stuff, but there's a lot of good content there. And most of the time I'll just find something, on a meme site, because I try to keep it humorous. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense. I'll say a word and then that word happens to be a car name. So I'll put a picture of the car. I think I spoke about something like a Lancer. So I put the Mitsubishi Lancer in there, so I try to keep it funny too, adding like some text scrolling, when I'm showing a picture and I say, oh, during his childhood, and I'll put, that's not an actual picture of his childhood, because I don't have that. I don't have the resources to be able to do that.
Yeah, because a lot of people say an editor or a better computer so they can edit themselves.
Yeah, I do my editing, and I think I'm, doing fairly good for someone who's untrained or didn't study that, or but it's to have more capacity to create, But then again, if it all depends on the viewer. Most people seem to enjoy what they've seen. I've never had a negative comment yet. I had one dislike, which was a badge of honor, and I think it's Kato's friend who dislikes everything. So
yeah,
I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah, he pulled into a video live stream. It's a whole thing. I think he does it for kicks. I know it. It's nothing against anybody in particular.
Yeah.
So, did you wish to mention anything else about your YouTube channel?
Maybe me and other. I want to do maybe a little more collaboration. I've done a couple with Memo, and but there's some projects that are being discussed and maybe a little more fleshed out. But I don't know if I want to start hosting live streams on my channel yet. But I do like to interact with other YouTubers, so I'd be willing to do any type of collaboration with anybody. I did Tales of Teletrons with Input, and that was great, really. And so yeah, that's. But yeah, maybe I can give a couple shout out to Memo and the other guys. Just they've been really great, and it's fun to feel accepted for what you like instead of what you people think you are supposed to be.
Okay, so do you have any content on other outlets, and how can people find out more about your content? Now, I have 3. I have Facebook, which is facebook.com/Razyel-Kayne-reviews- a whole bunch of numbers. Then I have Instagram. It's instagram.com/RazylK. It's spelled all in one, no spacing.
Razyel Kayne Reviews.
Is it spelled wrong on my end? I don't know. Anyway.
No, it's Razyel Kayne Reviews.
Right. And then YouTube is youtube.com/RazylKayne-reviews. Man, my eyes are like, no, this is not the correct spelling. It is correct. It is exactly the same.
Well, the thing is that your brain is telling you that it's spelled incorrectly because Razyel was spelled with an I, and Kayne in the original game was it was Blood Omen, or the Bible. But I'm more based on the Legacy of Kayne franchise. That's where I got my name.
Oh, well, that's that too. Yeah, because it seems unnatural. Because for people who don't know, I asked you how to pronounce this before we started, because my brain it wants to go with the old biblical spellings of everything, like Kayne is Cain, and then
Cain. Yep.
Razyel, it's spelled. I think it's spelled differently too, and it's supposed to be an archangel's name, and Kayne is
he's not an archangel. Razyel is, and that's so lame. He's the angel of mystery. That's so when my friend found out, they really had to go. But yeah, so biblically, yes, Razyel is the angel of mystery, and Kayne is the first murderer. But then in the Legacy of Kayne games, which basically I had other monikers in the past, but eventually I really loved that franchise, and I needed a first name and last name for a gamer tag or something, and I just picked that. I used to spell it with an I on both names and a C, but eventually on Xbox Live, there was somebody else already had that. So my friend just said, put some Y's and K's in there, which I did. And yeah, exactly. So I did that, and it stuck now. That's my username on Steam, Discord. Like that's my thing.
It's unique enough where it's unlikely anybody will ever use it.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's so unique that I even had input, create this custom. And he's basically, that's Razyel Kayne, the mascot. I want to make him eventually the mascot of the channel, so we'll put him in the logo. But basically, he's the color scheme of Razyel from Legacy of Kayne, but he's holding Kayne's sword from the same franchise. So, and I did a video where I explained that in my headcanon, he was the prototype seeker that was betrayed and shut down by the Quintesson and picked up by Unicron, and he became a Spark Reaver. So he drains Spark, and that sword drains Energon. So he's the ultimate badass.
Okay, so I would like to thank Razyel Kayne for his time doing this interview. So thank you. For everybody who's watching, don't forget to check out his Facebook page and then his Instagram and YouTube, Razyel Kayne Reviews. And thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe.